Good day, class. The topic that I want to discuss is Christianity and faith. The article by Gopnik was good at invoking emotion and making the notion of religion sound absurd or misinformed. It is hard to argue with critics because they do their research and support it with credible sources. However, it is difficult to follow the narratives that are written in the article because it shows that mainly it was skimming the books of the Bible and applied what the professionals said. I am acknowledging the fact that the narrative surrounding the Bible can be controversial. I grew up in a large family and did not at first believe the stories written in the Bible. I was taught all the great hymns and learned over time that God was real. I was searching for possible reasons for many things like who made this world, why there was pain and suffering, and who in history has tried to help with world crisis and problems. I found through research that there are many texts that describe gods. However, there is evidence to support that there are religions that are more popular because they have the most evidence. The article found on CNN website discussed some truth that is known about the Christian religion. However, many people who do not know the Bible well will have a few assumptions that will not be cleared up right away. There are Christians who believe that God and Jesus' presence can be here on earth at times, and that the Holy Trinity is more active than sitting on a throne in heaven. However, the work must be done through us mainly, and that is the general concept. We are the fishers of men. When I was 18, I was rebellious and wanted to live my life away from God. This is the time I heard God's voice more clearly. I could not avoid His presence, and I wanted to oppose it with all the information that I had so far. When one hears God speaking to them, I think it goes beyond the spiritual and just feelings. It will take on a visual form and even a sensory form. I was faced with the idea of a divine being, and I knew that he was speaking to me because even though I was not a big drinker or doing drugs, I was around a bad influence, and I needed to understand that I was also on a destructive path. As I am reflecting, I know that it was very real, and I know that it happens to many people when they make a sharp turn into a bad direction and God tries to reach out to them to help them change. I had to make many improvements in my life because people knew that at the time I was not making the best decisions. I had to change my performance at work, and I had to show I was a Christian on many different levels. The article on Fox News website showed that Christianity is more in relation to what people think is true about Catholics, that it is all about the relics, statues, and buildings. It is with the research of the common misconceptions of Christianity I was able to change my stance on my devotion to God. Christianity is a personal walk with Christ and has elements such as salvation and being redeemed of sins. Christianity, the concept of salvation, refers to the act of God saving humanity from the consequences and dangers of sin, says Shipash. Salvation is so important to how a person perceives their existence with God. I chose a new life of going to church, being kind to others, professing my love for others, and generally wanting everyone to live like I was. My intentions are not to use a fair appeal by stating that God is real, and if one does not follow him, it will cause them extreme hardships. I am sharing my experiences as a Christian who has lived on both spectrums and can provide a clearer explanation of what I think is real and what is not. Pratkanis and Aronson wrote of fear appeal in 1741 in the small New England town of Enfield, Connecticut. Jonathan Edwards delivered a sermon entitled Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God. In his sermon, he preached in short, they have no refuge, nothing to take hold of. All that preserves them every moment is the mere arbitrary will. I am in my 30s now, and I can tell you that I have appreciated the help God has sent to me over the years, because I needed encouragement in pursuing my education, in striving to reach my goals, and I am so proud of the woman I have become. It is so easy to say that I could have done this myself, but it is a vivid memory of when I decided to quit college, where I was working on my associate's degree. I am now working on my bachelor's degree. I thank God for that, and I am so happy genuinely for the little things. In conclusion, my story is evidence enough for me that God exists and He is a miracle worker. I am appreciative of Jesus' sacrifice when He died on the cross, and therefore I am convinced of the reality of what is written in the texts about God. Thank you.